respectful, and that you provide an opportunity for each candidate to be heard. So with that said, I'm going to introduce our candidates. First we have Vivian Sherwowski. I know I messed it up, didn't I? I told him, I was like, I'm trying to make sure that I get the name, but I only call him Vivian when I see you, so I appreciate that. So, Jared Miller and Olufemi Balong. Did I get it right?
Yes.
Florida? Very good. And I do believe that my understanding is that we have one other individual who's playing to run that wasn't able to join us today, that's also running for the position. So I want to make sure that you guys understand again that there's a 2-minute time frame for the response to the question, and then should you be addressed as part of how the candidate's response, you'll have 45 seconds to rebuff the comment. I plan to run a tight ship today, so please be aware that in order for us to address as many questions as possible and give every candidate an equal opportunity to respond, I will let you know that your time is up and we'll move on to the next question. Very good. Okay. So I'm going to work from left to right at this moment. And our first question is, what experience in your life do you believe qualify you to be SGA President?
Well, as an undergraduate student, thank you for coming to this place. As an undergraduate student, I serve, with my student government president, at my school, State University of New York. That's where I graduated from. So I sat with him as a senator, and I sat first with him as a special advisor, and then I decided to run for position myself as a Ways and Means senator. And I was able to accomplish things together because we put our heads together. We ask for student opinions, time and time again, as to what the student wants. And by getting that done, which is what the student wants, we're able to progress forward. And that's my experience so far that has given me, and all throughout my life, I've been that person that has been consistent in going through life, even when it's difficult. I came to this country with myself. I didn't have no brothers and sisters, to get me, to tell me this is what you need to do to be successful. But I've been successful, and now I'm pursuing my master's in business administration, with no help of nobody, but the help of God, and so that's one of the things that really prepare me. Life challenges, obstacles that I face, being able to reach out to other people, as far as how to progress, is what has prepared me for this position. And throughout my time as a senator, I've consistently stand to represent the voice of the student. And that's what qualifies me for this position as an SGA.
Thank you. Okay.
First off, I would like to thank everybody for attending. I know that an event like this is very important for all of us sitting up here, as well as the progression of the Student Government Association. I feel as if my entire life I've been prepared to assume a leadership role based off of a record that I have followed since high school. I've been involved in DCI, which is Drum Corps International. I've served as a section leader for my drum line on both college and high school experiences. I've been involved through Eagle Scouts in high school. I was in charge of maintaining inventory and supplies throughout my time in the Scouts. I've also been involved as well in the student government for a year now, and I've served as a member of various committees ranging from the president standing in the Rules Committee, the Parking Fee Appeals Committee, as well as the Student Life Committee. I always value initiative and confidence when it comes to dealing with leadership situations. The best way to lead is by example, and the best way to effectively implement leadership is by listening to the people that you're trying to lead. And I feel that as president, I will be able to represent the student body as well as the student government very well in that aspect. I feel as if I'll be able to put my best foot forward, come out strong, and to promote the growth of the student government.
I want to first thank Ms. Todd for being the moderator here today. And I want to thank SGA for giving me this opportunity to be part of this debate and voice my opinions and concerns. To start off with, I could tell all of you guys, my high school experiences and how I have been president for several organizations, but in all honesty, the only thing that really matters is the 2 years that I've been in SGA. And the first year I was senator, and I was able to, get with students on a personal level, and I was able to make that relationship and talk about issues and concerns that they have. But as I became secretary, I not only got to fulfill that satisfaction of having a personal relationship with students, but also fulfill the satisfaction of having a faculty relationship and being able to see what they want, what they need, and what they look for within students. On top of that, this year I attended UT-SAC, and for those who aren't aware what UT-SAC is, it's the University of Texas System Advisory Council. And I've attended 3 of those this year. I went to Austin, and all the presidents from the other SGA UT universities came together and we talked. We talked about the concerns and issues that are an overlooking issue between or among all the colleges. And I got to put in recommendations. I got to see what the Board of Regents say about those recommendations. I put my own input. So that's some of the experience I've had. On top of that, I'm also going to be on the UT-SAC board as of next year. So that should say a lot about what I've been doing this year, what I've been doing last year as SGA. So those are the experiences that have really unified me to be SGA president.
Very much. Thank you all for your response to that question. Our next question really has to do with why you've chosen to run and what you hope to accomplish in your new role as student body president. So please, each of you take a moment to tell us about your platform and how you believe that will benefit college as a whole. Vivian?
Yeah, of course. My platform right now is Progress with a Purpose. And what does that mean? It means that I want to continue progress and I want to unify the students as a whole. And I have several goals in my platform. My first one is I want to continue to bridge the gap between both students and faculty, communication-wise. President Fee right now has done a fantastic job with doing that, but I want to continue that. I want to make sure that we have a more unified and dignified way to communicate between both the students and the faculty. Second of all is recycling. We've all seen the polls. We know what students want. Students want recycling on school. So I want to continue what students want, and I want to take that into my presidency, and I want to continue with that. And third of all is daycare. My favorite one on this platform. All right, so students and faculty need a place to keep their children in a trusted environment, in a safe environment, where it's convenient for them. I've had several students and several faculty come to class with students, and of course, it's disruptive. So there needs to be a place where they can keep their students. It allows for student retention. We are the only UT school, out of the 16 schools, we're the only UT school that does not have a daycare. And that's a problem. That's a problem with student retention, which we need to keep. Along with that, I know some of you are probably like, I don't have children. Why should I care about this? Well, to answer your question, you should care because people in degrees such as kinesiology, people in the health field, people in psychology, you have the opportunity for a hands-on experience. You have the opportunity for service hours, for learning hours, for volunteering, for internships, all make fantastic opportunities for students. So this is more than just a daycare. It's a daycare for our entire campus, university, for students to be a part of something more than just a daycare.
My entire platform is based on closing the gap between students and their student government. I feel as if a division has occurred over the course of the last administration that has created a power distance between the wants and the needs of the student body and the willful administration of the current student government. The goals that I have in mind is I want to implement an initiative to have greater input from the student body by pushing for the student government to take statistical representatives of the body at large and bring them in and fill the positions of open forum and speaker's podium. I created the conversation for open forum through my work in the Rules Committee. And the purpose behind that was to ease the transitioning students that have issues and concerns and the dilemmas that they face in getting in contact and reserving a space on the speaker's podium section of our agenda. I want to emphasize quality, objective appointment to senator seats in this next term. A big problem that we're facing is a very low candidacy rate for the senators that will be filling our seats. The only way to efficiently and effectively operate as a student government is to fill those seats with individuals that represent the entire student body and are able to add a diverse range of opinions and methods for solving our problems. And a problem that we have had this last semester, as well as this current administration, is there has been a gerrymandering of filling senator seats with a specific grouping of organizations that don't represent the students in the necessary areas of their seats. I also want to extend hours of the library into HPC. I feel like if we're going to spend money and we're going to charge the student fees, we don't need to be giving that money to the administration that is going to spend it at their discretion.
Thank you, Mr. Miller, for your response.
Well, thank you all again. I'm campaigning on one main subject: restoring trust back to SGA. Restoring trust back to SGA. And restoring trust back to SGA by having the voice of the students. Students be able to have a voice on big issues that affect the students, big matters. For instance, when we talk about tuition increase, we didn't do a good job of reaching out to the student and letting the student know that this is something that's going to affect you for the rest of your time here at the school. You need to know about it, because many students come to this school because they say, oh, this is a cheap school and we don't want to pay too much. So that's why they come here. So, but all of a sudden they get that increase is going to be like a blow to them, So my whole thing is when we as a student government, when we talk about big matters, we need to engage the student. And that's why I want to restore that trust back to the SGA so that we'll continue to be that voice and continue to represent the students. That's one big one. The second big one is, for me, is improving parking on campus. Many students come to the school, during the day they have to drive around for 45 minutes, before they could get parking on campus. And that's something that this administration, we need to be working on. We need to make sure that students don't have to drive around 45 minutes, and most especially when we have a lot of faculty space open. So my one solution is, how can we make sure that some of the space for the faculty members are being used effectively, so that students wouldn't have to. We could have some visitor support for 15 minutes, for 15-minute interval, that when you come here as a visitor, you could easily leave the school. So these are very tangible solutions that we could begin to talk about and try to implement. And my third part is improving campus Wi-Fi. Many students that I talk to, my campaign, during this campaign, I've tried to talk to as many students as I could. Student organizations, faculty members, and try to talk to as many people as I could talk to, because bringing more people involved is going to open up a conversation that this is what we want. So that's that. Thank you.
You all expressed various elements of your platforms that you hope to accomplish should you be elected to this particular position. Please take an opportunity to tell us how you hope to accomplish those particular goals in your roles. Go ahead and start your name.
Okay. I have in order to accomplish the goals that I want to accomplish, I plan on using all the connections I've made with students, with faculty, with administration to get the goals done. It's as simple as that. I've been in SGA for 2 years, and I know, and like I said, I know what faculty want. So in all honesty, my answer to that is I'm just going to use the connections that I have now and that I plan on making in the future to get my goals worked out.
The fact is that I'm very passionate in representing the body of the students and what they want. A big factor in being able to efficiently implement my platform also is the fact that I'm independent of the current administration to a complete extent. There will not be any more sloppy appointments that lack objectivity of senators to positions. There will be an objectivity that is focused on and implemented when trying to fill seats. I'm committed to growing the SGA and their involvement with and for students. I want students to be coming in, and I want them to be filling up our open forum sections. It is shameful that we are delegating on issues that affect 8,000 students, and especially for the tuition and fee increases, and we didn't have one single person come in and speak for open forum or speaker's podium. That's not the students' fault. That's our fault, and that can be fixed at the top level. That can be fixed by mandating people coming, by mandating our senators or having our senators bring people in and talk. I'm also informed and dedicated to following strict parliamentary procedures. I just recently rescinded a bill that was passed that our current executive board were not informed of the rules that followed the passing of that proposal. And I put it through after it had been passed at an overwhelming majority, and it came through and it got rescinded because I held the General Assembly accountable, and they responded. They responded and they came back and they said, wait, we hold ourselves to a higher standard than that, and that is how I'm going to accomplish my goals, is we hold ourselves to a higher standard. We're independent of all the mistakes that have been made previously, and we work forward in getting student involvement on issues that affect 8,000 students. We have them come in and they speak and they have their voices heard, and we want to listen. I want to listen.
Yeah, as your president, this is how I'm going to go about doing things to continue to work on how I conduct the things I propose forward to do as a student government president. I'm going to use all my networks. I'm going to reach out to the international students because I was once an international student myself, so I reach out to all international students. I'm reaching out to everyone at CBT. This is one of my friends at CBT. We go to the same class together. I'm going to reach out to them. I've been talking to all students, in improving, bringing more students involved in the process in what we do, and reaching out to them, not just them coming to us. Sometimes we hold events that say, come meet your senators. That will not be the only thing. My promise to every student that I've talked to is I will be going to them, even as a president. I'll be walking through the school and I'll be engaging students, as to what would you like to see, what would be your experience, what do you like to see around school, I will be experiencing wonderful experience. I will always be asking that question. That question is even going to be at the wall of my office. It's going to be at the wall of my office, that what would you like to see in this school, I will be experiencing wonderful. And that experience is going to, because if our school is promoted as a school where students have their voice heard, our school is going to have more students coming here. That is going to be beneficial to the school in general, because our school is going to say, oh, we have a student government that their voice is always going to be heard. They're not going to be denied. We had a discussion about tobacco, for instance. And the only person that was against tobacco in the Senate floor, the only person that was against it, the president here, it denied that person of having the voice to be heard. That person was raising his hand up several times. That person couldn't even get a voice. I'm the one that was pointing. I was raising my hand only to say, that person, I don't smoke, so I don't care about smoke policy. But that guy cares. And I was the one pointing to him look, listen to that guy. You need to listen to that guy too. It's a different opinion, but you need to listen to that guy. So we have to welcome different opinions. And as a student government president, I will always welcome different opinions. And I will always work with anybody, everybody, as the case may be. Thank you very much.
I want to begin with our next question, Mr. Miller. Recently, you titled your builder strategic plan. What is your vision for implementation of this plan, either working directly with university administration, alumni, and our other stakeholders, or through the student governments?
Okay, first of all, as president, I would be actively involved in working with the administration. I plan to use my style of firm leadership as well as resolve and commitment to the students to work always in their best interest. That is the primary purpose of being a student government president, is to work with their interests. Through the SGA, as I have mentioned before, we need to have students coming in, and we need to have students weighing in on how they feel implementing these procedures should be applied. Whenever we pass a proposal to accept a fee or to add money to a bureaucratic problem that can be solved just through more efficient waste management, we are giving money to the administration to use at their discretion. We're giving them your dollars. 8,000 students, just a $5 increase, that's $40,000 a semester that they're raising in revenue. If that money is going to be spent, it needs to be spent in a direction that positively benefits the students, whether it be extending the hours at the library, the HPC. It needs to be spent in a way that people can tangibly experience and use the resources of, not just to pad the budget to make it easier to be able to to stock up the administrative offices with cookies and coffee. We need money put towards resources and experiences that are going to benefit the students. I plan to work through the administration and implement my firm resolve to the commitment of the student body to make sure that they spend in the way that they have the responsibility to spend. That is how I plan to address my leadership regarding the strategic implementation of UT College.
Yeah, I was in the room when Tolliver shared the strategic plans for the school, you know, and in that room that day, because I still was with the student association at the time, and I was able to voice some opinion then, you know, as far as how we can help, you know, promote this. And one of my and that is on record. You know, at the office there is a record of some of the things that I voiced out as a solution to some of the strategic plans that we had. But I will also say, yeah, that as being part of the strategic plan for the student, my role as a student government president is to make sure that students are being involved in every decision we make. Going back to them, asking them that, what would you want? You know, my emphasis is when more students know and ask for what they want, they're able to voice that voice out, you know, to the school, to other students, or their high school students that say, oh, this is a school where if you come, you're going to be able to take a role of leadership. There was one advice that I got from the dean of those students at my school. You know, those students told me that one of the reasons why people come to school is to have their voice be heard. Let your voice be heard. That's one of the reasons, because you want to study your profession, you want to know your well so that you will have a voice in it. You know, and so by us as a student encouraging the situation where students will have their voice heard on every subject matter, that's what helps promote even this school in general. And that's what I'm going to do as a president, and that's what I'm going to help, you know, this school in general to accomplish. And that's what I would say about that.
Thank you very much.
Do you mind repeating the question?
Sure, absolutely. Recently, the university has launched a strategic plan. What is your vision for implementation for the student government association or working with the university administration on that state?
Stuff like this needs to be promoted in a very effective way. In order to get this out to students, we need to have all methods at hand. And just like both my opponents said, it needs to be positively benefited towards the students, not go to the administration at all. In order that money needs to be put in designated spots to where students feel like it needs to be seen the most. So things such as my platform, daycare, such as Jared Miller, what he said, increasing library hours, increasing HPC hours, increasing pass hours. Those all are such effective ways to put money towards a way in which students can learn and provide, or in order to get the most out of the money.
Okay, our next question really is, it speaks to the current administration, and since all of you have been involved in Student Government Association to some degree during this previous year, perhaps earlier with that, then I want to pose this next question, and I'll begin with you, Olu. I'd like to know what, from the current administration's platform or agenda, do you plan to carry forward if you are presented with the opportunity to serve in this leadership capacity for student government?
What would be the have? I think one of the big things that I kind of credit its current administration for is the fact that they have a very good list of people, you know, that has a passion, you know, for SGA. They no doubt about it, they have passion for SGA. So they come together, the treasury, the parliament, and they all come together, they have a passion. So with that need of people working together to accomplish one good end, that is something that is part of this administration right now that I would want to continue. I want to have the right kind of people working with me, you know, to accomplish a certain goals. I would want to build relationships. You know, it could be going out to eat sometimes. It could be making sure that we have a sense of purpose, you know, as to what we do. And that's one thing I would take from this administration. But bringing in more of the student ideas, that we have more dialogue, is what differentiates me from this administration, because being able to work together as a team and accomplish that goal, that's what we're going to accomplish. And by the way, I want to mention that we talk about 24-hour library time. I talk to a lot of nursing students, and that's what they ask for too. So I agree with my senator here that says that's what we should be working on. And I just want to mention that because I talk to a lot of nursing students, and they are the ones that practically was asking for that. So I just want to point it out, because I've always talked to students. But as far as what this administration has that I think is good, is that close relationship. And yeah, I have 10 other senators, running along with me with restoring trust back to SGA. And that's the beginning of that coalition that cares for the school, that cares about the school, and want to be representative of what the school want and want to achieve a bigger role, bringing attracting more students to this school, because we're going to be the voice of the student, and the student going to be able to have their voice. That's what I'm going to do. Bringing in coalitions. I have a way we could go against. Abraham Lincoln, when he became president, what he did was he bring a lot of his rivalry, like put that way against him. Not do that thing that he couldn't do well at things, he bring them together, and that's what I'm going to do, because I'm a good student of Abraham Lincoln. I've studied Abraham Lincoln all throughout my life, and that's why I'm running for president, and that's why I believe I should be a president.
I want to start by saying that I respect the work that the current administration has put forth. They've worked hard, they've worked long, and they've, for the most part, worked to my standards of efficiency. However, I would like to criticize using an example of an issue that occurred but about a month ago, and that was regarding a presidential appointment to one of the senator seats for the College of Business and Technology. A student, my friend, colleague, he was also a member of the fraternity that I was a part of on campus. He came up and he expressed interest. Now, this is a qualified individual. He came up and expressed interest to assume the seat of senator for the College of Business and Technology. His name is Christian Bennett. When he had approached the current president, the president had told him that he was trying to set a new precedent of listening to the general spirit of the body by not making such rash presidential appointments. And subsequently, Christian was turned down for a seat. However, when the next week came up in General Assembly, we had a person that basically stepped in and assumed the seat of senator with no prior notice or any consideration past the point of the fact that perhaps she was a team member of the current president. Now, I would like to say that I'm going to carry forth the velocity of work that the current administration has achieved. However, I would also like to point out that I have worked. I worked with the director of the PASS Center in extending the hours into Friday and also extending the Raymond tutoring. And I feel as if we need to work to get such things as supplies sold in the coffee shops around campus and condoms sold in the C-store. That way we don't need a daycare service. And I feel
Please be respectful.
I feel as if that is a good way to take.
All right. Currently, I feel like I have a fantastic relationship with the administration. We work together. We work well. We all have respect, integrity, determination. And I will say, most organizations, most administration, yeah, they do have their faults. I agree. But we just have to keep pushing through, and we just have to learn from our mistakes. And I feel like that's what's happening. We're learning from mistakes. And in all honesty, to direct your story about how your friend came in and whatnot, I do want to say that at one point, we all closed the fact that we weren't going to have presidential appointments because of the fact that all the senators didn't want it anymore. And then all of a sudden, we have people telling us we do want a presidential appointing as of a week later. So that's why we had to close. We had to say to the person, we don't want him in our organization at the moment. But he was more than welcome to come the next week later and ask. But other than that, I feel like I have a great working relationship with the administration. And yes, there are some faults, but we just have to keep pursuing with it and learn from our mistakes.
I'd like to allow Mr. Miller an opportunity to respond to the comments that were made by Vivian. I'd also like to add 5 seconds to your 45-second response time, 50 seconds. In my attempt to make sure that we are controlling the audience as part of your response, not distracting comments to 50 seconds.
Yes, ma'am, I appreciate that. First off, I would just like to say that everybody in this room knows that it takes 2 points to be able to observe an average or a trend. The fact that 1 week they had made the resolve to deny future presidential appointments and the next week completely reverted their decision. There's no trend, there's no pattern, there's no initiative that's shown through that. The fact that the president denied access to a well-qualified student 1 week that had expressed interest way before the other candidate, which was also qualified, I might add. Both of these individuals are very qualified, but the fact is we're giving away senator seats buffet style, and that's something that needs to be controlled. That's something that I do not think that the current administration has handled correctly. I think that a more objective representation of—
Thank you very much for your response. I believe that we've adequately addressed the comments that were made by David and the opportunity. There was not a statement made as part of this that was not responsible. Thank you very much for that. We're going to move on to our next question. The question is, how many of you are running as members of the coalition? How would you seek to work with members of other coalitions if they were to win positions on the executive?
Personally, I don't feel like this question has much of an effect on what I'm going through right now. I am running as president, of course, but the people on the executive board that are running with me fully support me. They, no doubt, they fully support me, and I can guarantee you that if we do have, if I become president, there will be a fantastic cohesion between both me and the executive board because there's full support. So that's all I have to say.
First of all, I don't think that this position requires a collusion with another individual. I feel like at this time, the president of the student government needs to be firm in his resolve or her resolve to create change that is constructive for the students as well as the student government. I feel that if any coalition were to be formed, I think that would just perpetuate the problem of a serial issue of groupthink that we have going on in our General Assembly. Just for example, yesterday, through a lot of detailed work in Rules Committee, I had presented a proposal to amend the Constitution in a way that would restrict the executive powers of the president as well as the other executive board members. And the body shot it down. And the fact was, I felt as if it was a publicity stunt because there was an ace in the hole that the executive board had from the very beginning, and that 75% of all elected members had to be present. And only 75% of all elected members had to vote yes to approve the adoption, and only 75% of the members were present. Therefore, if one person were to vote no, all of the proposals would be shot down, and the discussion was still allowed to occur. And effectively, it seemed as if there was an ambush that took place, and this is embarrassing and it's shameful. And I don't feel as if I need a running mate in order to get my point across and to create the change that I desire for the student government, the change that needs to occur in order to keep this from being just a shadow organization and actually raising out and helping all students in all organizations.
I believe if the person, the leader, if he has integrity and he leads by example, and he portrayed the principle, the principle of this is how my leadership is going to be. My leadership is going to be about the student, engaging the student more. This is how my leadership is going to be. The vice president, just like we have in America now, Joe Biden could go consult with Obama about issues, but Obama is still the one that will be responsible for big things. And he consulted the people, which I would want to work with other coalitions of people, regardless of whoever become a vice president. I don't have a vice president right now, but I have a firm belief that I'm the one that would dictate, that would set the tone of what will happen. I will set the principle of engaging the student more. And then my vice president, on the other hand, I will have to work with him because I believe he's a human being too, and he's a student. And so I will listen to his opinion. But that opinion has to go through the prism of it has to go through the check of making sure that is this the right thing for the student. It wouldn't be a group thing that because we're guilty of that right now, and he was right. When the group sometimes could fall, could fail. But if one man has an integrity and he stands by it and he do the right thing, he's going to dictate what other people is going to be able to follow and bringing more people along. Because I don't think I could be a president on my own. I cannot be an island on my own. And that's why I think it's important for me to reach out to as many students as I could, to work with my vice president, but I will still set that principle as to this is the right thing to do, it's going to benefit the student, and we're going to have dialogues, we're going to have discussions. Discussion is going to be encouraged all the time. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to shift gears just a little bit. University is a unique place in time and history, and we're experiencing a tremendous growth. Growth in both our enrollment, growth in our development on the campus, and as you're aware, we have expanded university programs to include the University of the Houston Engineering Center. So talk with me a little bit about how you're going to support this growth, in particular to the students who are part of our satellite campuses at both HEC as well as Longview and Powell.
Well, I'm not going to support this goal. I think I stated that earlier, that if our school is known for a place where students can come and have their voice to be heard, they are going to want to be in the school. So supporting the growth of the school is by me as a student government president, encouraging, let the student have a voice on big matters, on any matters at all. Let us have more organization on campus that students could go and say, we have this organization and we're going to have a voice there. Let's make sure that we as a student government, we set precedents, to every other organization on campus that this is a place where you don't have a voice. So that is going to help the growth of the schools. And reaching out to even the satellite campuses that we have, is by letting them know what we're doing here, that we want to hear what your concerns were. There should be an avenue for them to voice their concerns, and their concerns will be taken. And when those things are happening, that's what is going to help the growth of the school. And 24-hour library time that we're proposing, because I went to State University of New York, we have 3 huge schools, and we have 2 major libraries. 2 major libraries are open 24 hours. As our schools expanding, we need to be expanding what we offer as a student. So I want to continue to be in the conversation of how can we offer more to the students. That is going to help our growth. 24-hour library, possibly daycare, if that will make economic sense for us, because we have to think about what we have and use this the amount of people that are having children on campus. So we have to see that is this going to be something that we could viably do. If it's not, then we have to look at something else. But competency for the students and bringing more students involved and offering more services to the students is going to encourage the growth. And that's what I'm going to say about that.
Okay. I've made my point about communication with the students and involvement with the students. That's a word that I've heard a lot in the last 20, 30 minutes. Involvement, because that is the most important aspect that we need to approach. However, in order to accomplish that, we need resolve and we need results. Yesterday, me and the 2 other College of Business and Technology senators, Mr. Sean Rogers and Mrs. Shelby Hart, we held the first ever College of Business and Technology Town Hall that was approved through the Department of the College of Business and Technology. That was not a student organization. That is something that we thought of and we did ourselves, and we got results, we got action. We had department chairs for management, marketing, accounting, and finance show up. We had emails sent out and advertised to 1,300 undergraduate students. We need action and we need resolve. As the campus expands, as more students come to take advantage of the broad variety of resources that this campus has to offer them, there's going to be a lot of unknown faces walking around, and the only way to fix that is to get people together, get people talking. My main emphasis is going to be on small student groups and organizations and how the SGA can reach out and help them and develop and promote them. We need that. We need organizations being involved and taking advantage of the resources and the advertising and exposure that student government can give them, but they need to have faith in us. They need to have confidence in us that we're going to represent them, and we're not going to pass legislation that affects 8,000 students without bringing in a single person to speak on the issue. We need people to feel confident that we're going to reach out and that we're going to act through them. The student government is an instrument of the student body. We're not an instrument for the student body. We are here to take into consideration everything that everyone else has to say. We are elected by the students, but they are our constituents, and we must listen to them, and we must act not how our opinions dictate that day, but how their opinions lead us to feel it up until our decision.
I just want to first start by saying right now SGA is doing a fantastic job with involving the satellite campuses. At the moment, actually, as of this year, this is probably our first year, of course, using Zoom, but we've had satellite campus senators, which is amazing. We had 2 senators last year who resigned because of graduation, but we have a distance campus committee now, which is going around and getting people to join SGA. And that's how we use communication effectively. It allows for our students in other campuses to work with us and to resolve issues and voice their concerns and issues, along with having the benefit of being in the SGA organization as a whole. So effective communication along with having involvement, as these have said constantly, we need involvement from all the students, and not just from UT Tyler, but from every single campus. And we can do that by continuing with our Zoom process.
Okay, our next question, part of that, the change that the university is facing, as many of you are aware, Dr. Mabry is going to be retiring at the end of the year, and we are anticipating new leadership joining us, maybe within your administration, the early part of your administration, but certainly about the second phase of your administration. How do you plan on working with 2 university presidents, Dr. Mabry and his successor, over the next year? So I'll begin with you, sir.
Well, first of all, we need to make sure that the transition of the directives of the president in relation to how they want the president of the student government to behave, we need to make sure that the transition is consistent and firm. So I would first off begin by reaching out to Dr. Mabry and then establishing by trying to pretty much visualize what his goal of the future would be for this university and how I could impact and affect that goal. When his successor is chosen, there needs to be sort of a conference held between the 3 of us, and we need to get together and we need to see how can we as a student government help in the transitioning of the leadership, not only for the administration, but also in the leadership on campus moving forward with this rapid expansion and growth. So really, the only way to efficiently do this is through steady and considerate communication. Considerate is the key word in this scenario. Considerate communication between myself, the current president of the university, and the successor president of the university.
Okay. Currently, President Mabry and I have a fantastic working relationship. I've gone to meetings with President Free. I've seen what he wants. I've seen how he works, and I've seen what he's looking for in students. And with that being said, there's going to be a gradual transition from him to the successor. And I feel like I can definitely cope with that, knowing that I have such a good working relationship with Dr. Mabry at the moment, and I can continue on with that with this.
Yes, I have approached President Mabry on several occasions, when I see him, whenever I see him, to discuss with him and to ask questions about the vision for the school, to ask these questions, because I believe every leader has a vision, that's something that inspires them, that wakes them up every morning to do what they do. So I've approached President Mabry on those occasions, and he has voiced some thoughts into me, and so with that is what I think I'll be able to support, in accomplishing those visions that he had for the school, those strategic plans that he wants to accomplish even before he leaves the position now. And also, this will also continue with the new president coming. They will have a vision. They will have something that they want to accomplish, for the students, because they have passion. The only reason why they should even have the presidency position is they have a passion for the students. They want to be at the sporting events that we have, and which I see President Mabry at all times, and that's where sometimes we chat and we talk. And basically, I want to continue on that part. I want to continue to build that relationship. I approach people. I don't wait for people to approach me. I go and ask questions. I want to learn. He has been some places I would like to be myself. So I want to continue to go approach him. So that's one way that we could work together and understand the vision. And by the way, Divya mentioned something earlier about the Zoom. I will tell this audience today that we had a very long conversation about Zoom. A very long conversation about Zoom, which, by the way, is brought together by my dear friend there, Nathan Weber, that was able to advocate on let the student listen to what we're saying. The Zoom section was fine for. Now they could talk about it like, oh, it's some of the accomplishment of Zooming stuff, but it was a fight. We actually had more discussion about that than increasing tuition. Increasing tuition was just 2-3 people talking in the hall. But about Nathan's Zoom section, we waited a month. A month, we had to talk about it. A month, we had to talk about it because they don't want it to happen. So thank you.
And I appreciate you saying by nicely to our next question. Please explain your position on the recent tuition increase that's facing the student population.
Okay, so I understand that tuition is expensive. I understand the cost of education in general is expensive. But what everyone needs to understand is that we haven't had a tuition increase in 4 years. In 4 years, how is our university supposed to grow if we don't have a tuition increase? With that being said, I understand, such as what Jared Miller said, I understand that services such as library, pass, and HPC all need to be increased. And services aren't free. Services are never going to be free. So we need to have a tuition increase, and I definitely support this tuition increase proposal because of that matter.
Tuition increase. I was against it. Then I began to see on the sideline for it. But I have this question over and over again for the students. What would that increase go towards? What would that increase? We want to improve our school. The administration, with the communicating to the executives, which, by the way, Matthew, the treasury, also said that they didn't communicate nothing to them. Which I asked that, what is the increase going to go towards? It is good to increase our tuition, at least slightly. We're supposed to know for sure what that increase is going to be. They said, 4% is for inflation because we haven't increased it for a long time. And I said, okay, 4% is for inflation, but what about 7 to 15% that would like you to increase it back? And they said, we'd like you to go for the maximum. So we didn't get an exact amount, and we don't know for sure what that money is going to go towards. That's why I said, no, that increase is not yet temporary. And as far as paying for all the things that we have, there's a lot of areas in the school today that we have a lot of wastage. A lot of things are being wasted. So if we as a student and as an organization could plan to use the lean management, I'm a management student, I'm an MBA, pursuing my MBA degree. So and I've learned that from the school that we could plan a lean management process that will cut some of our costs so that we could use some of those costs there to tackle some of the expenses. And the school is making money. It's a public school. We get money from the government. And we also are charging the student, for sticker on the ticket. And by the way, one of the things I'm proposing is how can we reduce also that amount on the sticker? The sticker that students are paying. From $45, we could try and reduce that to like $25. I'm just proposing. It's still a conversation that I would like to have, with some people of the organization that this needs to benefit the students. And what are we doing to do that? So don't just increase the tuition for students, but tell them exactly what that money is going to go towards.
Mr. Miller, thank you.
Okay.
Our next question is related to some of the things that are impacting many of our college campuses, certainly in the state of Texas, with the recent decision regarding campus security. And you're aware the student government has been a part of defining policy. The law goes into effect in August. So how do you feel the university's plan in campus security? How do you feel about the university's plan regarding campus security?
Well, the fact is we have to abide by the law, and even though Greg Abbott seems to push this issue upon us, probably prematurely, the fact is it's still an active effect of what our university has to adhere to. So we have to use, which this is pretty much a resolved issue, we have to pretty much use our powers as a delegation to establish the obvious exclusion zones to open carry. Obviously, there shouldn't be areas where somebody is in possession of a firearm. Any area that has underage children, any area that involves medical patients or equipment, any areas that involve sporting events. We have to obviously abide by the law, but we have to take into consideration the safety of our students. There's also been proposed an idea that maybe that there's an open carry dorm, that a certain area of campus housing that's allocated just specifically towards students at carry. We have to figure out how to house those students. A big issue with adhering to the law also, the Zoom thing has been mentioned, and I'm going to point on that once again, that when this was effectively proposed, we actually were not able to accept the proposal because legislation had been passed mandating us carrying Zoom in our meetings. Considering that we are a governing body and an organization, we had to provide that transparency that was allocated forward through the law. So the introduction of Zoom was following the law just as campus carry was. This isn't something that we can necessarily impact as a student government. This is something that we have to follow the legislation handed down from the state level and the national level. Zoom is an example, campus carry is an example. We just have the power to create exclusion zones for certain contingencies that affect the implication of these resources. So as far as Zoom being a project or campus carry being a project that we can adequately affect, there's only a certain level that we can affect it. The fact that we still have to Zoom our meetings.
Campus carry, I know it's something that comes from the state. We don't have no power, a lot of power over that, but we could exclude ourselves one way or the other. We could ask for reasons why we shouldn't have it in some areas of our school. And for me personally, I think having a gun in a classroom environment, changed the whole perspective of that place. I talk to the veterans, because I'm a veteran myself. I'm in the U.S. Navy currently, and I talked to them and I said, having gun on campus changes everything. But they educated me on the fact that having more guns, help take the bad guys away, help prevent the bad guys. I said people in this place have guns because most of the places that have guns, bad guys don't come there to harm people. So I kind of would say that I don't not want it to be in specific areas like around classroom environment, but if there's a way that we could make sure that people that don't want to see guns, and one of the questions I asked when at the time was that is there a way that they could search people, to make sure that you have the license to carry it and you can carry it on campus, because that is going to bring a lot of balance. So that's my take on it. That let's not bring guns to the classroom. It just change the whole mindset about being in the classroom. And I've talked to the news channel about this, KTK TV. They came to ask me about my opinion on it, and I was able to voice my opinion. And similar other people that I know in the community was able to tell me that we appreciate exactly what you said about this subject, and that's my stance on it. I don't want to deny people that felt like the veterans, for instance, that said they want to have guns, and that's our right to do so. I don't want to say don't have guns. I wouldn't have one because I don't see the reason for having one, even though I'm a U.S. Navy. But I treat people. I work on patients. My job in the Navy is I'm a medical person. So so that's my own mindset. It's my own philosophy. So not forcing it on other people.
To begin with, I was initially not for the whole gun carrying situation. That wasn't my scene. But I read the plan, and I think it's a great plan. It has exclusion zones. It has everything to help students as a whole. I know for a fact that the students, the faculty, and the administration have full support on this plan. Along with that, it's a decision that everyone has made as a whole. So I personally think that this plan not only keeps people safe, but it also preserves the freedom that we've always had.
Okay, our next question is kind of along the line of many of the topics that have been pressing with regard to our students on college campuses. So Ms. Srinivasan, I'm going to start with you. How important are the LGBTQ rights on campus to you, and would you support gender-neutral bathrooms on campus?
Okay. To start off with, I think every student should be represented in every way, shape, or form. It's extremely vital to have every student represented. And for me, in the health aspect, degree, going through health classes, I know for a fact that Tyler is the most prevalent, or has the most prevalent LGBTQ individuals. So with that being said, to propose an idea of where we have family bathrooms in buildings going on forward. So growth-wise, when we build buildings, I personally feel like we should have family bathrooms. It would be a one-shot restroom, it would have a toilet and the changing bed for babies. But, it would make the LGBTQ community feel more safe, feel more accepted towards the fact that we are tending to their needs.
Well, I find myself as a progressive, not only as a person, but also in my political viewpoints and the way that I hold myself. I do support expanding LGBTQ rights and privileges on this campus. Also, in conjunction with my progressive mind, I've also established contact with the student organization that represents the LGBTQ organization that's on campus. I've established contact and communication with this organization. I have offered them my support, not only as a potential president for them, but also as whatever I would be able to accomplish for them as a senator, because as some of y'all may or may not know, we have a large portion of our budget allocated towards senator projects. That needs to be utilized very efficiently. As far as the introduction of gender-neutral bathrooms, that of course is going to be a very tricky issue dealing with the funding and the financial allocation necessary to create those bathrooms. However, as was mentioned, moving forward, progressively, maybe the introduction of those bathrooms can be taken into consideration if there is a large enough base of people at this campus that we could outweigh the cost benefit. So we need to be able to weigh out the benefit, weigh out the cost, and see that's part of effective leadership, is you have to be able to effectively analyze and mitigate costs while maximizing your benefits. So if there's enough demand on campus for that we can justify spending hundreds of thousands of dollars that come mainly from your pocket, and here recently in tuition increase and fee increases, which I was denied my chance to respond to that question, then we perhaps have a solution to this problem. Thank you.
Well, my take on this, in November, I went to a conference, on behalf of the school, the ACU High conference, in Kansas, on behalf of the school. And in that conference, we talk about diversity and inclusion, and being able to include all different group of people, students that come to the school. So my first take on it is, why create a bathroom for them? There's this policy we have what we have in the Navy, in general, that don't ask, don't tell. If you don't ask them, they don't tell you, let them continue to use whichever place that is convenient for them. It shouldn't be at the expense, of other students, because that would be what they call some kind of like I don't know how they call it, affirmative actions, that is overboard, because it's going to be something that we're spending the student money to have an extra bathroom for them. But that doesn't mean that we won't include them in our society. That doesn't mean that we won't love them as we should, but going overboard in creating a different bathroom for them, I think is something that is going to be at the expense of the students, which if we don't have a majority of them that is actually going to pay for that, there's no reason why we should go that direction. I believe that if you belong to that group of people, you are welcome. You're welcome in the school. The school loves you. I'm going to engage you at a point, but we're going to find other ways that we can work around things together, not going to spend money to have a separate bathroom for you. And I would just leave it as that, because I'm not against anybody. I'm a firm believer that gay people is not right. That's my Christian background. But in the society that I live in, because we don't want to encourage all of those different things in society, I want to say less love, but don't let's
very much.
create the division.
Mr. Miller, I appreciate you so much for tactfully pointing out that I'm not allowing an opportunity to answer the question. Would you like me to restate the question? The advantage is that you now have that opportunity to think quite thoroughly about your answers.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you like me to restate the question?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. We'll just a moment here. Please explain your position on the recent tuition increase that is facing the student body this year.
Well, as an accountant, I really understand the necessity to increase the tuition based off of increase in the value of the dollar. Because a dollar today is not worth as much as it was a couple years ago. That's obvious. However, the administration I found presented it poorly and in a somewhat insulting manner to the student government. They expected it to just walk across our desk and just be imposed upon the students. And all they really needed was a confirmation from either the Senate or they needed a confirmation from the students. And obviously, the Senate, there were less numbers and they could present the presentation in a more controlled manner. They only needed that to justify to the Board of Regents that we even passed the tuition increase. So even though our school may be needing money, the budget for 16 and 17 should have been addressed in 14-15, not 15-16. And the issue that they threw this at us and had very limited exposure, the only resources that we really had through the courses of our General Assembly meetings were a poster board and a secretary to write on that poster board. There were also a couple of very kind of almost insulting comments made towards some of our senators by the presenter, saying, "Oh, well, you look like you're confused. You look like you're lost." When you're trying to reach into somebody's pocket, you don't just consider the fact that they may be confused or lost on what you're talking about, because I am very aware where my money goes. So I oppose the acceptance of the proposal, but I did not oppose the idea of the necessity for the proposal. However, when this was presented for us to accept in our General Assembly, it was proposed as one consolidated proposal, and that proposal was passed. When it was passed on to the Rules Committee, my committee, to delegate how that would be presented to the students, we wanted to remain consistent in the way that it was presented to our body. We wanted to present one ballot, one vote. However, of course, the bureaucratic influences had its way, and we ended up having to split up those.
Thank you, Mr. Miller, very much. And again, thank you for taking the opportunity to respond to that question. Okay, our next question is in line with something that I believe the Student Government Association is working on currently as part of their actual agenda for the year. The sustainability of the University of Texas Tyler has been something that's been addressed by Student Government Association over a number of years. And the possibility for there to be a fee assigned to it, as many of you may or may not know, the University of Texas system, we're part of the system, and many campuses have adopted a green fee, so they're referred to. But the possibility for the university to consider that fee, either as part of the tuition, if the increase that may come for the student body in a few weeks, is a possibility. But should that not occur, tell me how Student Government Association will work with the student body and the university to continue grassroots efforts that were started by Student Government Association with regard to sustainability. Will give me a moment to end my. I'd like to be with you.
To start off with, as I said before, most of the students polled are for recycling. And with that being said, there should be a direct correlation about the green fee of students wanting to pay for the green fee. Now, as SGA trying to implement that towards the students and trying to communicate that effectively, we do. The students need to know what they're paying for. I completely agree. They need to know what they're paying for because obviously there are several students who are paying out of their own pocket. So with that being said, I support the green fee. But at the same time, as SGA, it is SGA's duty to come across and let the students know what is going on in more of an advance than just a couple of days like tuition fee increase. But other than that, yes, that's
I support recycling, as everybody with any ecologically sound conscience does as well. However, once again, I do not support retrospectively informing students of issues that we passed on our own without their consideration, and trying to tell them, oh yeah, by the way, we passed, every one of y'all are gonna have to pay $5 extra per semester because we decided y'all needed to. Now, I do support, to directly answer the question, to continue the grassroots movement that were established within the Green Fee proposal. There were some very amazing initiatives that were taken, such as a bike share program, a community garden, as well as the addition of several more receptacles around campus. Those outlets need to be pursued, but there is always a chance to cut spending somewhere, to cut waste in one place, and to be able to reallocate those funds in a place that is constructive. And I feel that in order to continue the movement, we can take advantage of our budget within the student government for student-centered projects, as well as the money that we have to give out to from SGAC to student organizations. We have funds to create these ideas. We need students to come up and say, we want this, give us the money for this, or we need senators to step up to the plate and say, hey, I have this idea, let's actually put some traction, put some rubber on the road, and let's get this done. That's how we continue the grassroots movement of these wonderful initiatives. But once again, a sloppy processing. This is the whole aspect of what I'm trying to address as president. If you want to see a change to that, you elect me to president, and I will put an end to this retrospective informing students of these issues after we've delegated without any of their consideration. We stop that, and we can move forward constructively. And that's what I'm trying to get everyone to see. This is how we make change.
About green fee and environmental fee, this proposal was brought to the Senate floor, and thanks to Senator Miller. He was the one that brought it back because he was voted on that we should get it done, but he rescinded and he brought it back so that we could have a discussion about it, which I give credit to him for doing that. And when that was brought back, I stood up and I said, you only have a survey from 323 people on campus, faculty members and students. 323 people, that's a very small number, that's one. And two, when they finally say, oh, students are going to be paying for it, students and faculty agree that we should do green fee, it's only students that we're paying into it, $5 from the students. And that's why I said no. If the survey is done with faculty and students, faculty also should be paying towards it because I'm for environmental fee. But my biggest one is they could also get it out from the budget. We already have a budget that helps these kind of things. And one of the things they also had in the proposal is they're going about to clean the school. I and Sean Rogers and a couple of other veterans, we are the ones that go around the school and do the cleaning, and we volunteer our time to do so. So when they hadn't that to the proposal that they're going to be paying for that for the student, from the student green fee. So all of that proposal to me was a sham. We had to put that aside and say, use what we already have in the budget to sustain our school, to make our school to be green, to be about green. Let us use whatever we already have. And don't let's bring in something else to say, oh, we need to take more money from the student. I'm 100% for don't go and ask students for more money when in fact you could use other resources that we already have. So I'm for green fee and many of the students is for it. And one of the things that happens is these faculty members are not paying into it, but when I was at UC Center, I saw faculty members.
Okay, we have one final question that I hope will give you an opportunity to tell us a little bit more about what you envision for the university. You all talked about some of the things that are on your platform, everything from respect to communication, taking care of parking, and also making sure that the Student Government Association is fair in the way that they govern the Student Government Association and the student body. So I'd like for you to each take, and I'm going to give you another 30 seconds to respond, so you'll have 2 minutes and 30 seconds to respond. Just in case that I've been off on any of my seconds, allowing you guys a chance to respond to any previous questions. So tell us a little bit about what you believe is the one area the University of Texas Tyler needs to see as far as improvement is concerned as a whole. And I will begin with you.
Okay, as I've mentioned, our main objective, my main objective as president is closing the gap between the implication of our governing body of students as well as the students that we affect. If we have organizations stepping up to us in confidence, they come up to us and they say, look, we have this in mind, we have these projects, we have these desires, we have these ideas. We need to listen to them. However, they need to have confidence that we are always consistently, not just 1 week and then revert back to the previous mannerisms the next week. They need to be certain that we're going to be consistent in applying our initiatives. They need to be certain that if we say something 1 week, it stands up week 2, week 3, week 4. They need to be certain that they can come to us, that they're not going to be ostracized like an individual that came to speak against the smoking ban was openly ostracized by some of the senators sitting in our General Assembly. One actually resigned over his comments made to these individuals. So no more embarrassments, no more problems from the student government. We need to encourage our legislative body. We need to dial back the executive powers and the overextension of progress that the executive board has made through this administration. And encourage the involvement of the senators, because after all, it is the students, it is the collective body of students that we are trying to influence and impact and represent. It is not the will and the administrative extent of power that 5 people have. It is the will of 8,000 students. You put me into office and we solve that problem. We effectively start working against all of the previous damage that the current administration has done in proliferating this division of confidence between the students and their senators and their representatives. You put me into office, I establish initiatives to increase coherence with the students. We get more students involved in our meetings. We push out, we put money in tangible areas that actually students can see and see for themselves. We emphasize quality appointment of senators. We don't gerrymander our seat positions just so we can make sure when we get our proposals passed. We need to fix the damage, first of all, that the current administration has caused. We need to close the gaps.
Currently, I have noticed my plan of action is to open lines of communication between both the senators and the executive board. You know, as secretary, my job is to log minutes, my job is to watch and to see what happens in SGA. And I've noticed this tension, this underlying tension between both the senators and the executive board. And that should not happen. That should not occur. And I'd like to change that. That's something I drastically want to change. I want the senators to be able to come to the executive board and ask, their advice and ask them questions and not feel like they can't do that. You know, this is not right wing versus left wing versus SGA. This is SGA as a unified and strong, powerful organization. We are here to voice the concerns of the students. We're here to represent our students. And in order to do that, there needs to be an open line of communication from both the senator and the executive board. I can guarantee you that will happen if you elect me as president for next
year. My 2 distinguished senators here, they've said the right things, and we're just going to add to it as well. They've said the right things, engaging the students, making sure that the right things is done. But I will mention that in this current administration, which Livia belongs to as well, they've done certain things. They're not perfect. For instance, when they hired the Judicial Committee review, we didn't even know these guys. They didn't come to the Senate. We were supposed to appoint them, supposed to vote on them, but they didn't come and introduce themselves to us. They were just a bunch of buddies that the current president has, and he brought them in and he said, "You're going to appoint these guys." So we don't even know them, so we cannot vouch for the integrity and the consistency of that judicial reviewer. And to add to that, I want to build on relationships, and that's what this election is about for me. Build on relationships, know more people, ask people more questions, let people get involved, let the process be transparent through the Zoom that we advocated for, and the state became like, that's what the state wants, that all meetings is Zoom. So transparency, consistency, relationship with students, people that have passion to get the right things done. Every time that I've stand up as a senator, I've represented the voice of the student consistently. If you don't believe me, go see some of our transcripts that they're on Blackboard. I stood up for tuition. Don't just increase it. At least tell us what you're going to increase it by. And let it be that you actually was considering improving the quality of the school for the student. Offer more stuff. Give the student voice. Let the student have more voices. And things of that nature. And some of the things I really stand for, improve campus Wi-Fi. That's supposed to be like ding ding ding. We're supposed to be doing that. Increase 24-hour library time. Why can't we? I have some medical students, nursing students, and all of the students, engineering students. They're asking for the same thing. Why is the school not pursuing that? Informing the student. That's everything that we're trying to do, to accomplish, to move in, to inform the student about the decision that we make, and to have it more consistent, transparency, honesty, integrity, and that's what I would do for you as a state government president. The big picture is restore trust back to the SGA so that more students could be more involved. And as more students is involved, it's going to help the school as a whole. I've already said that time and time again that it's going to help the school as a whole because it's going to be known for a school that voice could be heard. And yes.
I'd like an opportunity to allow you to respond to consider our current administration and our current administration.
Okay.
45 cents.
As being part of the administration currently, there are rules set in place for things to happen. We have an access policy set in place for a reason. And yes, it's in the Constitution. The president is allowed to appoint judicial board people. I mean, it's as simple as that. I don't know why there's a conversation about it. And to think that they're buddy-buddy is completely wrong. He's appointed people who have integrity, who are respectful, and who can make decisions and judgments for themselves, and in order for SGA to be a better organization. So I don't see why there's a reason for his idea.
Thank you very much. I believe that she has adequately rebuffed your comment. There was not a challenge presented for rebuff. Thank you for each one of you for taking the opportunity to visit with us today and share your positions and your opinions about how the University of Texas Tyler better and stronger. And how we can also make student government associations better and stronger for our student body. I'd like to also thank our audience for your participation and your time and commitment to listening to these very important topics that I think impact all of our students. You are representative in a percentage of all of our students, whether they are online students, students that are satellite campuses, or students who are here every single day that we're interacting with. So I really appreciate your respectfulness and your interest in learning what our next administration leadership is going to look like. So thank you all so much for your time, for your courtesy, and the respect that you've all paid to the process. Have a wonderful weekend.